Do you realize that to take any area of your life to a new level and achieve success, that it requires you to set a goal? Did you know that 92% of people who set goals don't achieve them? Hello and welcome to Act, Achieve, Live, the podcast where we unlock the secrets to becoming a high-performance individual. I'm your host, Shane Perry, and in each episode, we will delve into strategies for setting and achieving goals, stepping beyond your comfort zone, and creating new comfort zones that push you to excel and achieve your goals. Join us as we learn what it takes to be among the elite 8% of people who not only set their goals, but actually achieve them, as well as those that have learned to become not only great starters, but great finishers as well. Now get ready to act, achieve, and live your best life. So today is going to be part one of the main reasons why people set goals and don't achieve them. Now, before we get into this, let me talk really quickly about the idea of a goal. You see, most of the problem is people don't make the emotional attachment to what actually is a goal. In other words, when I throw out there the fact, and this is a fact, that 92% of people in the world who set goals don't achieve them. Well, most people, when they hear that statistic, they go, oh, well, that's not me. I don't have any goals, so no big deal. Oh, that's too bad for them. But they don't make the mental attachment of, look, we have 5 areas of our life: recreational, relational, spiritual, financial, and physical or fitness. Anytime we want to take any one or two of those areas of our life to a new level, it requires us setting a goal. Whether we actually say, I'm going to set a goal or not, you're setting a goal. See, if I were to tell you that the number one goal in the world set for people is something revolving physical or fitness, it's really to lose weight. If I were to say 92% of people who try to lose weight and keep it off fail, that startles people. Because now they're going, well, gosh, that could be me. I've tried to lose weight. I want to lose weight. I may want to lose weight. That sucks, right? They get that emotional attachment and it hits that nerve versus if I were just to say, oh, 92% of all goals set, people don't make it. So we got to make this attachment that any area of your life that you want to improve, that you want to get better at, that you want to take to a new level is going to require you, whether you realize it or not, to set a goal. That's why setting and achieving goals is everything. And that's what I want to do. So today we're going to talk about one area of what holds people back from achieving their goals. And what this is called is the herd mentality. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to give you the definition of it. What does it mean? Okay, the tendency for people's behavior or beliefs to conform to those of the group that they belong to. I want to read that again. The tendency for people's behavior or beliefs to conform to those of the group that they belong to. Now, when we talk about groups in the context of what I teach on, it's really just the majority of people in society. That's the group. There exists a correlation between risk aversion and herding behavior. In other words, people tend to avoid risk and conform to the status quo as they believe that others' information is more reliable and strength in numbers minimizes uncertainties. So here's a great quote. In a world where social perception is an inherent determinant of social status, in other words, what people think of us, how they view us, it seems rational to submit to majority pressure. The desire to strongly identify with the group could thus spur people to abandon their own judgments and imitate the actions of others within the group. In other words, it's just a lot easier to be like everybody else and be happy. And that's what we're taught. Look, guys, humans are a very strange species. We care so much about what everybody else thinks. And I mean, just look at money. Look at how we spend our money. So many spend money that we don't have to buy things we don't need to impress people we don't know. Let that sink in for a second. That is the herd mentality. That is what we're taught. If you want to improve your life, if you want to achieve a goal, you have to be willing to break out of the crowd, and you must be willing to take the road less traveled. You know what? It's a lonely road because not many people are willing to do it. It's not easy just breaking out of the crowd and carving out your own path. I got out of high school and I had a job waiting for me out of high school. I was working in the beer distribution business. And when I turned 18, I was driving a beer truck delivering beer. I hated the job. I hated it. And at 21 years old, when I stumbled across the company that gave me an opportunity to go out there and achieve my goals, I was absolutely blasted by most of the people around me. They put me down. They teased me. They talked a lot of bad stuff about the company. On. Look, it hurt. It really hurt. I didn't want them to do that. But the reality is I didn't care what they thought because my opinion was the only one that mattered. And I didn't want to be like anyone else. And I'm not afraid to say that, guys. In no way, shape, or form have I ever felt that I'm better than anybody else. But I knew one thing since the time I was young. I didn't want to be like everybody else. I don't need to be like the crowd. I have goals. I have an idea. I know the lifestyle I want to live, and I'm going to go live that life. And I don't care what people think. I do care what people think, and I'd rather them be nice to me and not beat me up, but I'm not going to let their opinions shape me. In other words, I care what people think, but I don't care so much that I'm going to let it stop me. But that's not the reality for so many people out there in society. They do care way too much about what other people think. And if you want to change your life, you have to be willing to not only recognize the herd mentality and how it holds you back, and you have to be willing to break free of the crowd and carve your own path. Now, how does this fit into the middle class mentality? Now, you haven't heard me talk about that yet, but that's coming up in the next few episodes. The middle class mentality is something that I created, and it really is the enemy that keeps good people from living their ideal life. I also refer to this as a mediocre mentality. And this is the thought process and the paradigm that most of us have been trained and conditioned with since we were kids. And just to give you an idea, here's some of the things that we're taught with the middle class or the mediocre mentality. And you're going to see how this merges with the herd mentality. We're taught that we should just be happy with what we have and where we are. You should just be happy. And I don't mean that you shouldn't be grateful for what you have and where you are. I don't mean that. But I do mean that we're taught like you should just be happy with what you have, be happy with where you're at, and you shouldn't want any more. You should just be like everybody else. What's wrong with you? Just be happy. We're taught that people like us don't make it, right? I want to go, when I at 21 years old, I wanted to venture out and I wanted to do something with my life. Number one, I didn't want a boss. Number two, I wanted to be able to set my own hours, my own schedule. Number three, I did not want to work until I was old. I didn't want to work until I die, like so many people do. And I wanted to make a lot of money, and I'm not afraid to admit it. And I wasn't afraid to admit it back then. But when I ventured into that, the overwhelming mentality of people that come from where I come from, which is, middle class, lower middle class, whatever, hardworking families, is we should be happy with what we have, be happy with where we are. And what are you thinking? People like us don't make it. You're not college educated. You didn't come from the right side of the tracks. You weren't born with the silver spoon in your mouth. All that. We're taught that money can't buy happiness. Now, look, I don't want to dwell on this. And it is true. Money cannot buy happiness. I got that. But have you ever noticed that the same people that tell us that money can't buy happiness are the same ones that forget to tell us, by the way, when you don't have enough money, it brings with it a world of hurt and misery. Yes or no? I've been broke and I've been wealthy. I had problems throughout, but I was a lot happier when I didn't have to think about money. But that's part of the middle class or mediocre or the herd mentality is money can't buy happiness. You should just be happy with what you have. We're taught to settle and be like everybody else, which is what I've talked about. And we're taught to be part of what I call the at least culture. What is the at least culture? Well, at least I have a job. At least I have a roof over my head. At least I have my health, or I want to do this, but at least I'm not that. I want to lose 30 pounds and it's really, really hard. And I'm thinking about giving up on my goal. And then we start to justify. And part of that at least culture is, well, it's not like I'm fat. It's not like I look like that guy, or at least I have this. Well, at least I've got, I want a newer car. I want a newer car. Well, you should just be happy with the car you have. At least you have a car. I want to do this with my life. Hey, you should be happy. At least you have a job. At least you've got a roof over your head. There's a lot of people that would love. It's this mentality that we should just settle. The herd mentality, along with the middle class or the mediocre mentality, the mindset, teaches us just settle. Be like everybody else. You see, the key here, guys, and I'm going to wrap up this, is to identify that the herd mentality holds us back. Our desire to be accepted by the masses is the worst thing for us. Half the battle is just being able to identify it, being able to identify that, yes, I'm not venturing out and attempting to do something with an area of my life because I'm concerned what others are going to think. I'm concerned of what my friends might say. What are they going to say? Are they going to talk about me when I'm not around? What are their opinions of me going to be? That holds so many of us back. You see, this podcast along with everything from my online course to my book to my social media platforms, are all designed to teach people how to become high performing individuals who break through and have the ability to create and set goals and actually achieve them. Therefore, beginning their path to living their ideal life. If any of this resonates with you, and you either have had or you still do have the desire for more in life, then job one is you understanding that none of it's going to happen while you're still part of the herd, part of the crowd, and concerning yourself way too much with other people's opinions or what they might think. You need to decide on the life that you want. You need to determine what it's going to take for you to get there. Get help if you need it. You need to learn and set real goals. You need to cultivate those goals. And then you need to put blinders on, focus, and go. So I hope this helps you a little bit. Tune in for our next episode coming up in a few days. We're going to really dive into that middle class mentality.